Good morning, grade fives. Happy Wednesday. We're almost done week 12. Time is flying. Anyways, this is going to be the last topic or the last video I'm going to be teaching you for this unit. Like I had mentioned in the beginning of this unit, we're pretty much, this is the second last unit, so this is the mini second last unit, and then we have one more mini unit after this. So we're pretty much done grade 5 math, which is I know I've probably said it a million times by now, but like it's still, I still don't believe it. I don't know where the past 3-4 months have gone. But anyways, for today's math lesson, you will need your math notebook, pencil, highlighter. You will eventually need your textbook because there's 2 questions we'll do after. But for now, just your math notebook, new page, title, date, and then we can write down our I can statement. So what we're talking about today is quadrilaterals. So we've looked at what quadrilateral shapes are. We just haven't talked about it specifically. So you have been doing it without really knowing it. So let's just write down our I can statement. So I can discover different types of quadrilateral shapes. I'll just say quadrilaterals. And then please highlight that. I can discover different types of quadrilaterals. And it's one of those words that I definitely have to think about it before I say it. Quadrilaterals. It's a long word. It's an Audi one. But anyways, well, that's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at what it means, what a quadrilateral shape is, because there's different types of shapes that would be considered quadrilateral, and what specific characteristics or what specific properties is it that makes a shape a quadrilateral shape. Okay? So let's get the definition first. Sorry. Okay. Quadrilaterals. Oh, yeah. Lateral are shapes, and please make sure you put plural because there's more than one quadrilateral shape. So shapes that have four edges and 4 vertices. And let's do a quick recap, so we should know what that means. So quadrilaterals are any shapes that have 4 edges and have 4 vertices. So let's highlight this. So you can use a different color pen or a highlighter. I'm going to just underline it. 4 edges, so we know those are, so if I've got this book, edges, so that it's got 4 edges. And vertices we know are any of the corners, right? Anywhere where 2 or 3 lines come together. It depends if it's a 2D shape or a 3D shape. So that's what a quadrilateral is. Please write this down and then pause the video and write it down, and then I'm going to erase it so I can look at all the different types, the 5 different types of quadrilateral shapes we're going to look at. Just move it up a little, move it back a little. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to get my eraser. Yes, I'll erase that too. So, and like I said, you do know all of the shapes, but you maybe don't know that they qualify as quadrilaterals. So, let's look at the first one. Types of quadrilaterals, first one is a square. Obviously, you know what a square looks like, but square is one type of quadrilateral because, let me draw it. So a square, again, I'm going to try to be as perfect as I can, but you've got grid paper so you can make sure it's even. A square, now let's look at those hatch marks. So this was in the quiz. A lot of people didn't know this answer. We know that if any dash is called, the mathematical term for it is hatch mark. So for a square, hatch mark would be on all 4 edges or sides, because we know these are all the same lengths because it's a square. That's a property of a square, that all 4 sides are equal. They're the same length. So that's a square. Now the reason why square, we know that square has 4 equal sides. And it's got 2 pairs of parallel lines. Let's review that bit. So what I'm writing here are just information about things that we know. So we know about the square, there's 4 equal sides. We can also say it's got 4 vertices. Right, so we know that there's 4 equal sides. We know that there's 4 vertices. Now let's look at this part, 2 pairs of parallel lines, because we know parallel lines, to hopefully remember what they are, parallel lines are any 2 lines that are ongoing, that will never intersect, that will never cross, and they are the same distance. So we know that these 2, and in our previous video, and I'll take these hatch marks off for a second, if I want to show parallel lines, I draw arrows. So if I'm saying this is parallel, I draw this line is parallel to this line. And then I can say these 2 lines, this is parallel to this line. And it doesn't matter if I put the arrows this way or this way, it just means that they're ongoing. So you put arrows instead of a little hatch mark, because hatch mark means same length. Little arrows, whether it's 1 or 2, just means they're ongoing. Think of it like a road. That's why they're parallel. So if I put 2 little arrows or 1 arrow, it means it is they're parallel lines. Okay, so there's 2 pairs, right? That's 1 pair of parallel line. That's 2 parallel. So there's 2 pairs of parallel line. So that's one type of quadrilateral shape, a square. A square has 4 equal sides, has 2 pairs of parallel lines, has 4 vertices, right? That's pretty much it. And let's go to the second one. Second type of quadrilateral shape is a rectangle. And again, you know the shape. And I'll draw it here, and we can look at the shape and the properties of a rectangle. What makes a rectangle, right? So again, I'll write it over here, and I'll go in order. So we can say it has 2 pairs of equal sides. So what does that mean? I'm going to draw my hatch marks, right? Can you see that? Yes. So we know that this is 1 pair of equal sides. So if this is like, let's say 3 centimeters, this also has to be 3 centimeters. And then I'll put 2 hatch marks here to say that these 2 are the same. So if this is, let's say 7 centimeters, this top one also has to be 7 centimeters. So 2 pairs of equal sides. Okay, let's keep going. We also know that there are 2 pairs of parallel lines. And I'm sorry again if it's not straight. I'm really writing on an angle, so it bugs me more than it probably bugs you that it's not straight, but I'm trying. Again, and maybe I'll draw another shape so you know what I mean about the arrows. So a rectangle, so if I want to show parallel lines in a rectangle, I don't draw hatch marks anymore. Those are hatch marks. I would draw little arrows. So this line is parallel to this line because they will always keep going and they'll never intersect. And then I would say these 2 lines are parallel because they will never intersect. They will just keep going like roads. Okay? So that's that. And we know that there are, again, 4 vertices. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's the second type of quadrilateral shape. So square so far, rectangle. We've got 3 more to go. Pause the video if you need to. And again, like I'm saying, these are things you already know, but we're kind of grouping them in this new category, in this new umbrella. So we know all the things. We've talked about this in the past 2 weeks. We talked about parallel lines. We talked about sides and edges and vertices and hatch marks. But we're kind of putting them all together and categorizing them in what we call quadrilaterals. Okay, so if you ever hear quadrilaterals, you should think of all these shapes. So a square is a quadrilateral, a rectangle, and then we're going to look at 3 more. So I'm going to erase this.
the next three. So it's a very simple lesson today. Just kind of taking all the information we do know about geometry
And putting them together, really, that's what's going on.
Okay, next one. Number 3 is a parallelogram. Parallelogram. Is it parallelogram? And let me draw it first. So then and I'll put in brackets. A little way to remember it. Okay, I'll write it now. It's a little way to remember is that it's like a slanted rectangle. That's a good way to remember it. So a parallelogram kind of would look like a rectangle, but kind of slanted. Okay, now, and then let's go over the features about it. Do it over here. So again, there are 2 pairs of equal sides. So very much like a rectangle, but again, I said it's a slanted one. So this is the same length as this, and this side is the same length as this side. So 2 pairs of equal sides. We also have 2 pairs of parallel sides. So again, and I won't draw, or maybe I'll draw a little version of it, a mini one. This is parallel to that. These are parallel as well, okay? And then the last one is we also have 4 vertices. So if you just take a moment and compare your notes from the rectangle to a parallelogram, it's the same thing. These are the exact same thing. We have 2 pairs of equal sides for a rectangle and a parallelogram. We have 2 pairs of parallel sides for a rectangle and a parallelogram. And there are 4 vertices in a parallelogram and a rectangle. But the only difference is the actual, the shape of it. The shape is just like a slanted, it's not a rectangle, it's a slanted rectangle. Okay? So that's number 3. Let's do number 4 now. And I don't want you to get confused. And number 4, and I did number 3 and number 4 together because I want to show you, some people get these two confused between a parallelogram and a rhombus. They are different. They look similar, but they are very different because, so let me draw a rhombus, and I'll draw it like this again, but I'll draw it very similar so you can see why students get them confused. And hopefully you can see the difference. Now, with a rhombus, you're probably saying, well, it kind of looks like a slanted rectangle, and you're kind of close, but it's not, because instead of a slanted rectangle, it is a slanted square. That's a good way to memorize this, okay? It's a slanted square, which tells me that, for example, all of these are equal. So remember the difference. So this is not a slanted rectangle, it's a slanted square. A rhombus is a slanted square. So we already know it will have 4 equal sides. Okay, so square and rhombus kind of go together, and rectangle and parallelogram kind of go together, okay? And then there are 2 pairs, two pairs of parallel lines. Right, so these 2 are going in the same direction, and these 2 are going in the same direction. And then, as always, 4 vertices. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so remember that. I'll repeat it so you don't get confused. Remember, a square and a rhombus are very similar. Their characteristics are are the same. The only difference is that a square is a regular square, a rhombus is a slanted square, okay? And then a rectangle and a parallelogram, their characteristics are the same, but a rectangle is a regular rectangle, and a parallelogram is a slanted rectangle, okay? So they kind of go hand in hand. A square and a rhombus parallelogram and rectangle. So maybe you want to, like, I don't know, highlight that or something, or make it known that stands out. Okay, those two go together. So maybe pause the video, and then I'm going to erase this, and we're going to look at the last one, the fifth quadrilateral. Number 5. And the fifth one is called a trapezoid. So the fifth is trapezoid. Okay, and that looks like, that's not straight at all. Like I said, it bugs me probably more than it bugs you. Or I know it's probably going to bug some of my OCD students. So Oliver, I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. Okay. Trapezoid. Now with trapezoids, I'm going to say they have, they have one pair of equal sides. So in a trapezoid, and you probably already noticed that this one is not the same as this, but the sides are the same. So these two are the same. So those are the one pair of equal sides. So it's only just this one pair. So that means, and there's also only one pair of parallel lines. And I'm going to draw this other one so you can see which, I would draw it again. Where are the parallel lines? Now, let's remember, do we think these two are parallel lines? Because, and I want you to think, if I continued this line, so right now my trapezoid, if I continued it, what's going to happen eventually? They're going to cross. So no, these are not. So let me show you that again. If we're saying, oh, I think these two are, the hatch mark, Ms. Mavish said that's a hatch mark, so it must be parallel. No. Hatch mark just means this, if this is 3 centimeters, then this must also be 3 centimeters. They're equal lengths. When we're looking at parallel lines, if I put parallel lines where I put the hatch mark, this says that these two are never going to intersect, but if I kept going, they're going to intersect right over here. They're going to cross right over there. And you don't want that. That's not a parallel line. So we know right away that is not it. So where is the parallel lines? If it's not those two sides, so it's not the sides, these are your parallel lines, because these will always go and never touch each other. Right? They're parallel lines. So there's only one pair of parallel lines. And again, there are 4 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to repeat that important part about, because the trapezoid is the only one that's really different, right? Rectangle and parallelogram are very similar. Rhombus and a square are very similar. Trapezoid is its own different bit because it only has one equal side, which is these two, right? They have the same length, same measurement. Only one pair of parallel lines, which are these two, right? Not these two, because they will eventually cross, right? They'll never cross this way, but they will eventually cross if I continue the line. So those are not considered parallel lines. And as always, 4 vertices, okay? So, and that's all for today. So that is just wrapping up our all the information we've sort of learned in the past 2 weeks and kind of grouping them in what we call quadrilaterals. So there's going to be 1 or 2 questions on the textbook. It's going to be in your Edmodo folder. So make sure you got the notes down and you can go do your work. And then by tomorrow, I think I'm going to be posting a little bit of a review for the weekend, and then Sunday, Monday, and then you'll have your unit quiz. Now, you probably noticed I didn't want to call it a unit test because it's a very small unit. It's like tiny, right? It was a week and a half, almost 2 weeks unit. So it is a test, but it's going to be small because the unit itself is small. That's why it's called a unit quiz. But think of it like a test. I don't want you to say, oh, it's just a quiz, I'm not going to worry about it. No, it's still equivalent to a test because it's the end of the unit. So it's the end of the unit test, but because it will be short,
Because the unit was short, I'm calling it a unit quiz. But I definitely still want you to study for it. It will be on Tuesday, I believe, Tuesday, because your science is on Monday. Okay, good luck. Make sure you finish those questions. Message us if you have any questions, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.